Well, that was unfortunate. It's the second playthrough in a row that that's happened to me. Oh. That's a post-world peace star. That was not efficient. Is there a Todd there? Nah, we're just gonna get that right side later. See if I can do this. Oh, wait. Almost. What's up, Helio? I like to imagine Mario's wheels have hat-shaped rims that keep spinning. It's a pimped ride, I'll say that much. Now that's what I call a nice meme. Wait. I don't need to go there. I'll get that later. In fact, is there anything I need to get here? No. I'm going to be doing all of these stars later on. These moons, rather. I'll just finish this. Do you think Mario has ever thrown his hat on a Princess Peach just to try it? Oh my god, oh my god, that was so close. By Jove. I'm going to plead the fifth on that question. Going to opt not to reveal the inner machinations of my mind. Ouch. Don't you dare despawn. How did your move go? Which move are we... Is this the move from February? This is my second move since then. It went okay. Unfortunately, I couldn't stream at the old place, but I can stream now. So, yeah. Went alright, and it was a nice place. I don't do much Twitch these days, but I recall you heading out. Yeah, that was, I think my last stream before I moved here was 2 places ago. It was a political podcast, I think. That was 228, so it was right after South Carolina, I think. Right after South Carolina, and it was a Bernie versus Warren one, right? Because she hadn't dropped out yet. She didn't drop out before Super Tuesday, did she? I remember being really annoyed about that. It wasn't all that big a deal. I mean, there are things I don't like about Warren. There are things I don't like about Bernie, but that was a... It's interesting to look at that in retrospect. Actually, I'm going to finish this now, because I don't think there's any... I don't believe there's any more stars on this end, or any moons after. I'm not in the party, so it's immaterial. Well, I mean, you know, like, given what's going on right now, the Democratic primary was basically deciding our next president, so I think it matters for everyone, right? I'm not a political tribalist, that's the thing. It's like, yes, I have loyalty to the left, but it's ideological, right? And at the end of the day, anyone who fills my definition of who accomplishes my ends, my end goals, that they're an ally of mine, and anyone who doesn't is not, right? So like, oh, what state are you registered in? Are you registered in the U.S.? I assume you're not in an open primary state then. I see. I mean, if you live in a closed primary state, you should just register to the party that you consider to like align with. Not align with, but the party who's going to run the candidate who has a chance of winning, who is the closest to your ideals. So, you know. What am I doing? I'm pretty sure it's over here. No, for sure, definitely. But the where's this last one? Where the heck? Where the heck? Oh, it's probably this guy. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just good. It's good to be a part of the Democratic Party because it's where it's where any power that the left will ever have, that's where it's going to be. You're never going to get rid of the two-party system because the two-party system is like essential to an executive democracy. We don't have coalition governments. We don't have a parliament. We don't have any of those mechanisms. So, if you want power to make change, you got to be a part of the Democratic Party. It's just like. not necessarily good or bad. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but like, since you're in Connecticut and I live in New York, I'm probably going to vote for the Green Party. I don't like them. I don't like the Green Party. I hate the Green Party. I dislike Joe Biden as well. But what am I doing? Why am I here? Just to suffer? No. I'm so good at this game. Video game. I'm good at this video game. Oh my god, I'm so good at this video game. I, like, on a basic ethical level, despise the Green Party, but they are a zero-risk vessel for me, where, yes, by voting for them, I'm kind of empowering them a little bit, but, you know, I'm only voting for them in New York. And I have the luxury of a protest vote that I can then leverage with leftists in swing states and basically say, hey, I am voting for the Green Party because the stakes are low and I can do it, and I'm advocating for our power. I need you to advocate for the power of those who will lose everything under a Trump presidency, which includes the left, right? Ultimately, you have to look at political realities. Like, Democrats are fine under a second Trump term. It's the left that loses everything. Wait, what am I doing? Chill. Okay, so Democratic operatives, what do they all do now? They work for Biden's campaign. They work for the Democratic Party on state and local and federal levels. All of these people have positions in the party, running for campaigns, working for Congress people, working for members of the government, who will then go on to work in the Biden administration, and they will take their staffs with them. Everyone who will gain a position in the Biden administration already has a paid position in the Democratic Party. And that is a position that is only in higher demand against the Trump presidency. So Trump is great for Democratic fundraising, and he doesn't do anything against Democratic staffing power. So all of these career operatives, what am I doing? I need to beat this dude Reno. Okay. I think I should have done Goombet. On the flip side, if you look at progressives and well, not really. I think you have to accept that at the end of the day, you have to accept that, like, Trump is worse for us than it is for the Democrats, than it is for establishment Democrats. Like, career establishment Democrats. Well, you kind of hit it right there. The party is a business. Every organization that involves paid staff is, at the end of the day, a business, right? So, like, a lot of people in the Democratic Party are just trying to keep their jobs. Part of the reason the Democratic Party opposed Bernie so much, even more than Warren, is that Bernie was an existential threat to their jobs. Because these are people who did not fit his agenda. Every other Democrat running in the race was to a large extent going to hire within the Democratic Party, the existing power circles, the people who had built careers there, right? And it's not to say Bernie would basically wipe the slate clean, but he wasn't going to hire anyone who wasn't valuable to his political agenda. Yeah, I wasn't one to necessarily believe this, but I have heard left-leaning veterans of the party of the party itself have basically said, yeah, this is how a decent number of Democrats operate, which is, at the end of the day, it is a job, right? And if it's a career, you're going to do what you can to keep your job while trying to affect what change you can. But, like, ultimately, when your livelihood depends on it, I'm so done. when your livelihood depends on it, like, you're not going to sacrifice everything you've built your life, the security you've built your entire life, in order to create radical change, right? This is the like the age-old dilemma. This is the age-old dilemma of the career politician. There's value to career politicians because they know what they're doing, but at the same time, they're not going to risk their careers because they don't have like much of a fallback. I mean, they do have a fallback, but it would, you know, this is what I've been doing my entire life. I'm not going to throw it away over some universal healthcare plan. Oh, I have to be looking at him. Not the whole party, but enough of the party, right? The Democratic Party is not a monolith. I just made a video about this, actually, on my podcast page. It's called Establishment Democrats. Oh, Democrats don't want the left to vote for Joe Biden. And it's kind of true. That ultimately, when we refuse to vote for Joe Biden, it is very much something that establishment Democrats want us to do. Because if we make ourselves a part of Joe Biden's constituency, then we make ourselves people that he has to listen to, or that he feels any form of incentive to listen to. I'm gonna get this now, because I'm not coming back here. Is there a way up from here? No, looks like no. We as anyone, really. We as anybody. It's funny that I say we, because technically I vote in every election because I'm very, very, very politically active, because I wasn't a part of the left, right? I was basically anybody who is unlikely to vote, but if they voted would never vote Republican, right? So basically progressives, young people, young working class people. That's the we I'm talking about. So let's say Trump wins a second term. 99% of the people who work in a Biden administration are already senior members of the Democratic Party. Obviously, they want power because they have political agendas they want to affect. Which, you know, those political agendas are better than Trump's, but they're worse than the ones that I have, right? So if they lose to Trump, they're fine. They're just going to keep fundraising. They're going to keep staffing. They're going to keep working on their stuff. Their power does not go down. It stays the same. They want to win an election to gain power. But if they lose, their power stays the same. And actually, considering their stuff, yeah. Let's say paid family leave. That's probably a position that's a good position that all Democrats share, is that paid family leave should be a thing. Paid family leave, some level of extremely incremental campaign finance reform, public option healthcare, middle ground target between insane Trump and modern progressive target. Yeah, so public option healthcare. That's probably that's a great example. A public option is possible to institute in virtually any healthcare environment. Like, it's not easy, sorry. I didn't mean to say easy if I said easy. It's possible. It's plausible. But if you want Medicare for all, you have to have the mechanisms in place. You have to have expanded Medicaid. You have to have a strong Medicare system. One strong public healthcare system. Because it is extremely ambitious and it requires a lot of bureaucracy already in place. You have to build to it. That's kind of what AOC was talking about in her interview, that a lot of progressives were angry at. But, you know, maybe we can debate the wisdom of talking about incrementalism in the middle of a campaign, but she wasn't wrong, right? You're going to have a public option before you have Medicare for all. Whoa, this camera's way too high. That's much better. But the reason that someone like me supported Bernie Sanders and does not support Joe Biden is that, well, doesn't support Joe Biden in a primary, is that Biden wants to stop at to the next kingdom. I need that guy. I'll get him on the post-world piece. So let's say that Joe Biden not Joe Biden. Let's say that Trump did end the mandate, right? So Obamacare has been eviscerated. Obamacare is going to be defunct in the next 3 or 4 years. And by defunct, I don't mean it's going to stop existing. What I mean is that it is the central healthcare purchasing mechanism, and the whole point of Obamacare is that it eliminated the denial of health insurance coverage. It's not just that he's stopping at achievable goals. It's that he is not stopping at immediately achievable goals, right? Like, we're not going to have Medicare for all for the next 10 years. But this is the short-term thinking dilemma, right? Like, if you don't start thinking long-term at some point, the long-term will stay the long-term. You have to think about goals after the next 10 years, because that timer, right? If there's a hypothetical timer on what is achievable, or how long something will not be achievable, that timer doesn't start until you actually start planning to make it achievable, right? So you have to start thinking about, yes, we need Medicare for all. We need a single-payer healthcare system. And I guess you could argue that you don't necessarily need to do that super explicitly, but the truth is, like, making that a part of the conversation is extremely beneficial, because once you start getting people used to the idea that we can have universal healthcare in this country, that reduces the rights options by a lot. By a lot. And all of the... I think you're just less likely to get popular consensus, though, if it's clear you went more than what you were asking for. But are you? Are you, though? When Medicare was first passed, so Lyndon Johnson passed the first Medicare bill, the Medicare Act. And before he passed it, it was actually introduced by... The concept was introduced by to the American people by JFK before he died. And when JFK introduced Medicare, he was saying, this is going to be a healthcare system for seniors. But I have no intention of letting it stop at seniors, thank God. Like he said, I have no intention of letting it stop there. It's not just going to be healthcare for seniors. They're just the test vessel. This is going to be a healthcare system that we use to ensure all Americans. Medicare for all was the intended endpoint of Medicare, and it passed accordingly. I don't think you lose ground. I don't think you lose negotiating power by saying that something is intended to be more than what you're getting right now, right? When you say a public option is going to become Medicare for all, that doesn't lose you power. It's not like you're saying this is going to be universal healthcare, but you're saying this is an essential step toward universal healthcare. This is the next step of JFK's plan. It's just more polarizing. Yeah, but it's polarizing in a way that, like, there are things that are polarizing in a good way. It's polarizing in the sense that it forces, kind of like the Affordable Care Act did, right? Like, the Affordable Care Act was polarizing in a good way because it forced Republicans to some extent, to show that it forced Republicans to show that they are against people having health care. And so the Republican Party has gained power since Obama's presidency, yes. But they have significantly lost Democratic power pretty much in every election cycle since 2004. I don't think I'm doing any of this stuff. I think I'm just rushing Bowser. Since Obamacare was introduced, Republicans have been forced to show just how anti-worker, how bigoted, how class warfare oriented they are. And they've kept their base and they're solidifying and strengthening their base. But the reason they keep legislative power is that they continue to expand gerrymandering and suppress voter rights. Voter suppression is how they continue to amass power because they cannot find more supporters. They cannot build their supporter base. People don't want to vote for them. That's why they have to ramp up gerrymandering, ramp up voter suppression. Do any Republican voters actually think that? Well, Republican voters, are you talking about loyal Republican voters? One sec. People who vote Republican? Maybe, maybe not. I would say that Trump was an enigma, right? He was able to do something that Republicans hadn't been able to do for 8 years, which was get people who are not loyal Republican voters to vote for him. And equally, get people who would ordinarily vote Democrat not to vote for Hillary. That was equally important. And Hillary was a historically unpopular candidate, right? It's kind of this weird thing where it's like only Trump could have beaten Hillary and only Hillary could have lost to Trump in a sense. Where I do genuinely think she would have beaten any other Republican nominee and Trump would have lost to any other Democratic nominee. He was like the there's that one Pokemon that like you take to counter like one very other specific Pokemon. That's what I'm thinking of right now. But oh geez, what am I doing? Might as well just get this guy. Hey, ugly kid. Biden about to make that 2 for 2? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think Biden had a 0% chance even before Corona, but all a Democrat has to do in order to it just seemed Democrat voters seem not to want to vote for him. Yeah, we don't, but we will. The only thing any Democrat needs to do is get people who don't like Trump to come out and vote. And COVID is going to make damn sure of that, right? Anything Biden can do to get people unenthusiastic about him is basically being countered by coronavirus. That's kind of the... Hi, ugly kid. How's it going? I apologize. We're talking politics, so I apologize in advance if that's not if that's not a thing, a meme you enjoy. But it is a thing that we talk about on the stream. Just fair warning. I mean, you're absolutely right. Biden is an extremely unexciting person. But anyone telling you that he cannot beat Trump, like, I may be wrong that he's very, 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 very favored to beat Trump. I don't think I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that I believed it. But anyone telling you that he has no chance is clueless or a hack. Like, So all that's to say, like earlier, my point saying that Trump is worse for the left than he is for Democrats, all of that is mainly to say, what am I doing? Right. Because there's no moon rock stars here, so I'm just gonna pick this up. Democrats, so let's say Trump wins. It's all good. Yeah, Biden's unexciting, but the only reason a Democrat needs to be exciting is that the way that a Democrat wins the election is getting people who don't like Trump to come out and vote. That's all you need to do. And basically COVID is doing Biden's job for him. That's why I think Biden is very, very, very well favored to win this in a way that Hillary could never have been. Of course, that's what I thought about Hillary. That's what I thought when the Access Hollywood tape came out, right? So, who knows? Like, no one knows for sure. But I consider myself to be a not stupid person. Lots of loud progressive shitting on him hard, though. Pardon my French. I worry about how that affects him, about how that affects things. I think that we, like, as progressives, one of the reasons that the left was able to boost its voice so much is that we are extremely arrogant and we have to be overconfident because that's the only way that we stay motivated to continue putting forward a message. By the way, the reason I said pardon my French is that I'm trying not to swear during streams. But that I have no such rule in chat, don't worry. There we go. Good cycle. I think we way overestimate our power. Fudge, yeah. Which, like, I think it's good to adapt to new information, right? It's good to think you're more powerful than you are when you're trying to build power, because there's no sense getting demoralized when you're trying to build power. But the reality of it is, like, Medicare for all is not like a unifyingly popular policy. It's more popular than I think centrists think it is. But it's definitely less powerful than we think it is, right? That's the one. Okay, I don't. Nice. I don't think progressives getting angry at Joe Biden is going to do anything. And the thing is, like, MSNBC also wants you to, if it was obvious the choice as per it would be law. Well, it doesn't have to be unobvious to be unpopular. Like, the choice between Trump and Hillary was obvious, but Trump's president. Like, at the end of the day, like, yes, I think that there is objective reasoning that single-payer healthcare is the most realistic, is the only defensible healthcare system to be aiming for. That is the most realistic, right? I think every other form of universal healthcare is harder to achieve in America, which is why I think Medicare for all is actually the smartest thing to go for. Please? Heck you. I don't think progressives have the power to damage Joe Biden. Like, I don't think they did much damage to Hillary, right? Like, I missed a Y press. They weren't the ones who hurt her. It was the right that hurt her, right? Like, anyone who thinks that, in my opinion, anyone who thinks that the left is capable of doing something that the right isn't already equipped to do in terms of campaign smear tactics, like, I don't think they've been paying attention to the right over the last 20 years. Like, this is Karl Rove's legacy, which is the legacy of dirty campaign tactics. This is how the right has kept power for 20 years, is through dirty tactics, by smearing their opponents. Yeah, and progressives don't vote, right? Democrats don't fear us because we don't vote. Let's turn out for a couple of campaign cycles. Let's turn out to vote for our own darn candidate. The youth turnout for Bernie was atrocious. It was indefensibly low. Until that changes, like, we're not going to have power. I do think there's value in anti-electoralism, that, like, there are other vessels of power. But, like, ultimately, you need leaders. You need people in charge who care about you. You need J-Pauls and AOCs, and you need, you know... And you need more of them, because right now the Progressive Caucus is kind of failing us. You can't put that much power in a single person's hands, ever. Are more socially powerful than politically, mostly work on social norms? Not really. Like, it feels like you're talking about, you know... It feels like you're talking about quote-unquote SJWs. But, like, that kind of progressivism is popular, but, like, it's more popular and it's more polarizing. It's a red herring, right? I mean, it's not a red herring because I do care about that stuff, right? I care about, you know, social progressivism. I care about gay rights. I care about the Venn diagram. The difference between social, you mean socially liberal and fiscally liberal, or fiscally progressive? What am I doing? Right. I mean, you're talking the entire ethos of MSNBC. The overwhelming majority of American feminist power is largely corporate, because these are capitalists who want women to have as much power in the workplace. And I support that, by the way. I think that workplace feminism is actually a good thing. I do think that we should have more female CEOs. But I also want to reduce CEO power, right? I want to reduce corporate power. I think those are two fights we can have at the same time. And I wish that everything, like feminism and race, race justice has less of such an issue because of how ingrained in socialism the fight for black liberation in America has been, right? On the other hand, American feminism historically is rooted in white supremacy, and it's very difficult to break out of it. And so it's also rooted in, like, white supremacist capitalism. But no, like, social progressivism is not synonymous with fiscal progressivism. You just have to look at the, really just look at, like, the majority of feminist and socially progressive media pundits, and most of them were Kamala Harris supporters. Can you explain the difference between social progressivism and political? Well, sorry, I'm presuming what you mean by the difference between social and political progressivism. So I use the term fiscal because, like, oh my god. Please. Okay. I'll take it. So, I'm presuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that when you say social progressivism, you're talking about, like, kind of SJW culture, right? Like, the idea of, like, you know, respecting people's pronouns, of individuals saying, like, hey, you know, this was kind of racist. That's kind of what I was interpreting it as. Maybe vegans like vegan activists, right? That kind of stuff. And political progressivism largely seems to be more material fiscal progressive fights, right? Fighting for things like Medicare for all, fighting for things like labor unions and worker rights. And obviously criminal justice reform is a form of political progressivism, but criminal justice reform it's material, but it's also rooted in social progressivism because it's about race. It's about non-class related injustices. It's heavily intersectional, but it is material, right? Kind of on one end of the spectrum of what would essentially be people who are interested in becoming aware of social fairness. Yeah. But there is a difference between it's difficult because social has two different meanings, right? There's a broad term social that generally, like social justice, generally refers to covering and describing all aspects of society. But then there's this other idea of social justice, which is not just, and then there's social meaning like just generally regarding society, and then there's also social meaning as opposed to fiscal, as opposed to the material, right? Social would be like a form of social justice would be me convincing my friend not to use racial slurs in his speech, right? I have a brown friend from Oakland who thinks he can say the N-word, right? And I tell him, hey, that's actually not okay. And I try to convince him of that. That would be a social form of social justice. And then there's a material social justice. Sure. I wouldn't describe social as exempting anything. Okay, so when you talk about social progressivism, are you also talking about things like the Peace Corps and not the Salvation Army because they're super anti-gay? Group behavior? I wouldn't say that form of progressivism is all that popular either, right? I think that things like gay rights, so abortion rights are overwhelmingly popular. Gay rights are overwhelmingly popular. I think that in part thanks to advocacy of, well, anti-capitalists, but also, I need another, okay. Okay. When you say social, because progressivism is a social political belief. It's all reruns? Kind of, but also not, right? Like, I think all forms of hate and reactionaryism are all reruns. Because tribalism is the world's oldest and most tired trope. In my opinion. I don't think there's anything new about the kinds of bigotry that we display now versus the kinds of bigotry we displayed 2,000 years ago. We've always disliked people who are darker than us for some reason. I don't know why. That's just a human condition. That like the fairness of your skin has always been a pursuable virtue, and maybe it's just like millennia of epigenetics, right? That we just keep on passing it down. That like maybe it's heavily socially ingrained. Maybe there's a neurological bias. Either way, it's stupid. I think here we also... Oh, wait, you know what? Let's do this. No, wait, let's not do this because there is... Is that musical note thing there? No, it's not. Okay, so I'm going to do that after World Peace as well. The people you're near, you're like, and being in the same physical location kind of forces shared goals. Yeah, I think that's socialized, just socialized politics in general, right? Like, I went to NYU, so I'm going to have certain beliefs about life. All right, I have to remember to get all of the, because I don't want to come back here. I think that what you're referring to as social progressivism seems more powerful because it's more concentrated, right? When you venture into, legislated progressivism, it's going to be weaker because on a national level, it is more open to undermining influences, so to speak. So, like, NYU doesn't have to get Senate Republicans to vote for its Title IX laws. So social progressivism seems more powerful because it's bubbled outside of the law. So it's not actually that powerful. It just seems more powerful than it necessarily is, I think. Oh my dear sweet lord. You know what? I hate this game so much sometimes. Groups run to homogeneity in physical areas. Generally, yeah. I think it's the kind of homogeneity matters, right? But typically, yeah, I don't disagree. That some form of homogeneity, right? And with Breakout, it's more real on TV than on the streets. Oh. Can I get up onto... No, there's no way. Well, it's not that it's more real on TV than in any places. I mean, that's okay. You know, like you're in chat, right? Like, there's no reason that you should have to be perfectly eloquent with your thoughts. I wouldn't say it's necessarily only real on TV, but it's media presents to those of us who did grow up in a bubble this vision of the world that is equally bubbled, right? And that's harmful. Hey, Man Mud. The Odysseying is going well. And that's equally a problem because the images we see in media of quote unquote progressivism are also, they're designed to make us feel satisfied with the level of political activism that we engage, right? So it's like, oh, you believe, you support Roe v. Wade and you said Black Lives Matter on Facebook. and that counts as activism, right? That's a bias that a lot of like East Coast, very academia bubbled liberals have. And that's a harmful bias because that's not activism, right? Posting on Facebook isn't activism. Are any of us in chat though? Oh no, please, thank you. Oh my God. That was embarrassing. So what media winds up doing is it reinforces those beliefs that we have, right? Those really problematic beliefs where like I was just breaking that wall for convenience. I don't think I needed to, but actually probably beneficial for me to have done that. Are you kidding me with this? This game can be so dumb. Educated liberals are all talk season 4. Well, that was one of the problems of Aaron Sorkin's media writing, especially, was that like he was the king of being well spoken is enough to demonstrate your liberal bona fides, right? Like I still like most of his work, but the truth is that he empowered and enabled an entire generation of liberal political hobbyism. And that's a problem. Hold on. Actually, oh my God. It's fine. Death working is fine. Political hobbyism is better than ignorant copy paste from dad and mom. It is better than fake news, yes, but it's still bad information. Remember Destiny's rant about how bad information is worse than no information at all? Oh, this is from way back. This is not the misinformation rant from like earlier, right? I also only watch YouTube nowadays, but I think this should work. I'm pretty sure this will work. That if I death warp here, that I should wind up back at the bullet bills. Yeah, misinformation. He hates misinformation. But thinking that you are accomplishing more in politics than you are, in political activism than you are, is bad information. Yes. Hypothesis has been tested. That it's not as bad information as like literal fake news. Oh my God, don't die. All right. But it's still bad information, and it's very, very harmful because it's, how would I describe it? Hold on. An inaccurate view of the world, kind of, yes, but more importantly, it's an economic principle, right? you the problem isn't one actor acting in an irrational way with bad information. The problem is that everyone acts this way. It's a human cognitive bias. It's a sociological issue. That when everyone thinks that they're doing more than they are, there's a massive deficit of good being done. And people are satisfied with their individual behavior, so it never gets fixed. I would liken it to market failure in economics. Which it is. It's a form of market failure, which is, oh my God. You don't have to explain how hallucinations are usually inconvenient. That's true. Yeah, but the thing about hallucinations is that they significantly provide a material harm to... They provide material harm... They cause material harm to the individual or to their immediate environment, one or the other, right? Let's see if I can do this. That's fine. Oh my God. Generally speaking, right? And if an individual person is operating like, if someone is in a state of psychosis and it's not doing harm to anyone, typically society is less incentivized to fix that. You poop. Typically, we will just let people operate in their psychoses if it's not. For example, like look at SJ9 or Avalo, or XJ9 rather. I'm not sure if you know who either of those people is. One is a League streamer who was clearly operating with like a warped sense of reality. And then Avalo was also someone in the... Oh my God, I'm so dumb. I think I'm just going to take the football guy. You know what? No, I'm not. I think I can do this without taking any damage. I just have to play really safe. Yes, a journey into the mind of XJ9. He didn't... Well, I guess it's a form of doxing. He didn't exactly dox her. He did something arguably worse. He leaked certain photos that she had given him while they were in a relationship. That people tend to only address psychoses when they start to cause a real harm to that person or their environment. I guess you could argue that always causes harm to the person. So this is kind of that situation where it's like thinking you're being more politically active than you are isn't causing immediate harm to your environment, but it's part of a larger system. It's part of a systemic failure where everyone is operating the same way as you are, or a lot of people are operating the same way as you are. It's a macroeconomic failure. Oh my God. All right. So that's the thing, is that people don't have the incentive to fix it because there's no immediate harm being done to you. That's what's called an externality, is that the harm that your behavior is doing exists outside of your ecosystem. And so there's no incentive to address it. It's the same way the financial crash happened, right? Is that banks taking on $10 million of risk is only going to lead them to account for the $10 million of risk, or let's say $10 trillion of risk. A single bank taking on $10 billion of risk Yeah, it's a side effect external to your, yeah. When I give out $10 billion in bad loans as a single bank, I'm going to account for $10 billion in risk. But because of the money multiplier and how money lending in the economy works, that $10 billion is risk that I'm passing on to every single person who invests in my bank. And that money multiplies, right? That's why it's called the money multiple. That's why it's called moral hazard, because it's hazard that other people are taking on that I am making them take on without their knowledge or consent. It's the same concept, right? Ah, dang it. I let go too soon. Or I let go too late. Ah, I let go too early. Cool. Oh my god. Whatever. If I keep missing cap throws, then I don't deserve to get this cycle. Yes, I know how compromising this camera angle is. So anyway, back to why it's a really stupid political move to refuse to vote for Joe Biden. Because the fact of the matter is that you don't need Nice, I hit the cycle. Basically, if you pick up, if the cap hits your head in the perfect, oh my god, and then I missed it because I got hit. If the cap hits you in the perfect spot, you prevent Bowser from jumping. Cool. You don't necessarily need Obamacare to institute a public option. You don't need a healthy Obamacare to institute a public option in the same way that you need in the same way that you need it to in the same way that you need a public option to institute Medicare for all, because a public option is so much less ambitious that the structures exist in place already. Most states have, well, not most states, but because the Obamacare system exists and it hasn't been defeated, you can just reinstitute the mandate or find it in some form in your public option bill, right? The Obamacare site exists, the marketplace exists. That's all you need to institute a public option. On the other hand, Medicare for all, you can't fight for it when healthcare is in shambles and Republicans are using it to talk about how terrible government healthcare is. Because at worst, the public option is like, the public option maintains that illusion of choice. So centrist policies are way easier to fight for in a broken system than progressive policies, because you're basically, progressives are going to be stuck with the task of restoring what we lost while trying to fight for something bigger, right? A better example is Roe v. Wade. if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, Democrats are fine because that pretty much is the extent of their activism. They're like, yeah, we care about abortion rights, but they don't really fight hard for Planned Parenthood. They kind of fight for it, right? But like, not to the extent that, like, you know, progressives consider paid family leave to be the baseline. Democrats consider it to be the end goal, or centrist Democrats rather. So we're not going to be able to re-empower Planned Parenthood if abortion rights are defunct. Democrats, however, can just fight for Roe v. Wade because that's what their fundraising point is. In fact, their fundraising goes through the roof if Roe v. Wade gets overturned. That's not to say they want it to be overturned. It's that they don't lose much from it being overturned in terms of political power. So yes, the Democrats lose things in terms of their political agenda, but the left loses even more because we lose any ability to push our political agenda, plus we lose our ability to affect the political agenda, plus the standing, any potential to grow our power, which only exists within the Democratic Party. Thank you very much. Now the real game begins. As long as I've got you, I don't care. Oh no! I did something stupid. I totally forgot to do the taxi and luncheon. I'm just going to do that now. I'm really, really annoyed that I forgot to do the taxi and luncheon. That was the whole point of this run, was I was supposed to institute. We'll go after Mushroom Kingdom. Also haven't gotten any hint arts. Keep forgetting where the first, there it is. It's back up here, isn't it? Negative. Here it is. That's not it. Where the heck? I don't care about Princess Peach. I want to find the switch. I wish these text boxes would disappear forever. Oh, there you are. All right. I'm actually going to route for a quick second. So I need the taxi and luncheon. I need the taxi and luncheon before I get to Moon Kingdom. And then from Moon Kingdom I need to get Mushroom Kingdom, and then from Mushroom Kingdom I need before Mushroom Kingdom I need after Mushroom Kingdom I need Sand, which means I should do Sand last. Or I should do Luncheon, Moon, and Mushroom before Sand. But no, I want to do Sand before I do Moon because I need to finish Sand in order to get Peach at Moon. Okay, have fun. Oh, but I need to do Sand for Hint Art anyway, so I can do Sand 2, and then I do Sand 3. I guess that's how that would work. Okay, so I'm okay. And I can do Mushroom 1 here. So we'll just do this methodically. We're just going to do everything in order. Where do you see the country in 4 years? Not going to be typing for a bit. FML. It's fine. Where do I see the country in 4 years? I don't know, man. I really don't know. That's a tough. I don't know where I see my life in 4 years, to be honest. I think I'm just figuring that out. The truth is, I think it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult keeping the White House in 2024, in my opinion. I think there's a very good chance that we get someone either almost as bad as Trump or far worse, in my opinion. Or maybe even Trump himself, right? Like, what am I doing? Chill. I should have done this while I was picking up purple coins. I think there's a good chance Trump comes back in 2024. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be campaigning. He's going to be fundraising. He's going to be doing rallies. Like, this is the sense of importance that all of the money in the world could never have gotten him. I don't think. Obviously, he doesn't want to have the responsibilities of being president, but the prestige, I don't think he lets go of that, ever. I don't think it's just that he's running for president because he feels like he has to. I think that yes, he hates being president in all of the ways that it requires responsibility and accountability, but, I think that we need to be very honest about there are aspects of the job there are aspects of the position that he still very much loves and will fight to protect and fight to keep, right? And that he's not just running because it would be an admission that he was wrong not to run. He's specifically running because he wants to keep the title. Can you still do 3 terms? No. But if you lose re-election, you can come back and run for a second term anytime. So if you lose your re-election bid, you can come back anytime. What am I doing? We're going up here. Don't care about you. Let's do the right side now. What? Biden is favored. I think Biden is like, it will take a monumental series of political errors that is completely within their ability, but it will take a huge level of political malpractice for the Democrats to lose this election. I think that if not for coronavirus, like, it would have been very, very, very well favored for Trump, just because, mostly because the recession is not happening quickly enough to be very, very callous about it. I'd like to say, for like, of course, I'm going to make a disclaimer that, like, I'm not saying that I'm in favor of a recession. I'm not saying that I like coronavirus, right? And I would even go so far as to say that, like, of course, like, I would probably rather we not have coronavirus in a recession and do get 4 more years of Trump. I would definitely rather, I would probably trade 4 more years of Trump for no coronavirus. But, the fact of the matter is coronavirus is a reality. The recession is a reality. The market crash is a reality. We're going to go into the worst depression in history, probably. That's a reality. And that's a huge gift politically to the Democrats. Do you have any evidence that can convince you? They're never in history has someone mismanaged a pandemic. Hold on one sec. I'm pretty sure that 1920 was 1921 to 24, 1921 to 25 rather, was a Republican administration, partly because of influenza. And Woodrow Wilson was a pretty successful president, generally speaking. I think League of Nations hurt him. Please. What? That was BS. Okay. Every party that has ever overseen a recession has lost power in the next presidential election. That, I'm pretty sure, is incontroverted fact. Like, without exception. Jimmy Carter lost to Reagan because of a recession, largely. Jimmy Carter lost to Reagan during a recession. The Republican Party lost the White House in 2008 because of a recession. Herbert Hoover lost the White House because of a recession. Like, no party has ever survived a recession in the White House. Or a significant recession, let's say. I don't know about, like, regular recessions. There have been a lot of recessions, but, like, a huge recession on this, but incumbents never lose, that's absolutely not true. That's a statistical misreading, because incumbents who win re-election, by definition, represent twice as much of the statistical pool as incumbents who lose, because they occupy more time in the White House. So it looks like incumbents win re-election way more because they spend twice as much time. The incumbents who win spend twice as much time in the total pool. So if you color coded the number of re-election winners and the number of re-election losers, it'll look like something close to like 60-40, or maybe like 75-25. But the truth is, like, you're looking at, if 2/3 of incumbents win your election, you're looking at a 50-50 split. How many times has an incumbent lost re-election? So look at the last 60 years since JFK, right? So JFK ran in 1960. So that's a good. Oh yeah, No, it's a lot. It's just that if 2/3 of our time we have had a president who wound up having 2 terms in office, if 2/3 of the time America has existed, we have been governed by a president who won re-election, then that means that half of our presidents won re-election. It's a massive overrepresentation because by definition, someone who wins re-election spends twice as much time in office and thus represents over twice as much time of presidential tenure. Do you see what I mean? I want you. And I already got that guy. So now what I'm going to do is finished all of that and all that jazz in the shebang. It's 5 times that a president has lost re-election. That can't be true. Is it 5 times that a Okay, no, that's fair. That makes sense. But again, look at the circumstances surrounding the people who lost. Every single I will tell you this, and I will bet money on this. I don't know it for sure, but I would bet money that this is true. The vast majority of people who lost re-election, Trump is dealing with circumstances that are extremely analogous to what they dealt with, what most experts say caused them to lose the election. Oh my God. And the other thing I will guess is that none of the people who won re-election were dealing with the level of systemic failure, the sheer overwhelming number of factors that Trump is up against right now. And if not for COVID-19, that would be if not for COVID, what was I saying? If not for COVID, those factors would be significantly fewer. But this is a global crisis. I don't have faith anymore that doing a bad job means being voted out. I mean, that's fine, but at this point, you are going against... Yeah, but you asked for evidence, right? At this point, you are going against global evidence. Every single factor that causes someone to lose a re-election bid is lining up, and to a greater extent than it did in the past when people would lose because of it, right? If you want to say that evidence no longer applies, you can go ahead and say that. And I'm not saying you're wrong necessarily, but the evidence does disagree with you. If we are using any form of empirical measurement, the bets are that Trump is going to lose re-election. And one of the natural responses is, well, the bets were that Hillary was going to win as well. But the truth is that, in hindsight, there were plenty of factors that showed that Hillary could very well lose the election. And still, it was heavily luck-based. There were many, many, many things that had to work in disfavor of Hillary, that had to work against Hillary Clinton in order for her to lose, despite her being a historically unpopular candidate. So, why? Why would you do that? Why do you do this? Anywhere you can go, I can go higher. I can go higher anywhere. Wait. I can go anywhere higher than you. There we go. Holy moly. Jesus, has this guy been doing Pilates or something? Finally. Man. This guy's been on Atkins. That hitbox. Maybe it's just because I was really, really, really high. It's just a sense I have that we need to learn new things and the rules are changing. I've never found history to be very convincing. History is very, very, very convincing. There is nothing happening now that what, like, this is... There is so much happening now that we should have learned from, in 32, in both our election and the German election, right? In how the Third Reich grew power, in how Nazis grew power in Germany, and a lot of those parallels are there. The lessons exist in history. There's plenty to be learned that we're just not, like, the problem is that we all have selective reasoning, right? If you talk to any lefty like me, we're going to say that the lesson to be learned was that the German centrist party was the reason that Hitler gained power, which it was, right? But then there's also the ineffectiveness of the communists to form a coalition with the Hindenburg government, right? Like, that's also, a centrist would say that, right? Like, there are plenty of lessons to be learned. I think our mistake isn't that history isn't a good predictor. History is a very good predictor, and events in hindsight always make sense compared to their historical precedents. But the issue is that in the moment we're terrible at learning lessons. But I think that it is it could happen, you know, like Trump could win. How do we determine which historical factors to pay attention to? Well, yeah, that's something that we can only really know in retrospect, right? But, like, it is ubiquitous and quite frankly objective that every single aspect of Trump's current circumstance correlates directly. I don't know why I did that. I'm going to have to redo that. You can probably discount the hair color of prior presidents. Yes, but, like, the performance of an economy and the state of global crisis, these are empirically demonstrated predictors because they directly influence voting choice. Stagnant wage is what caused Obama to lose the White House to Trump, which is what it was. It was a referendum on Obama's presidency as much as it was a referendum on Hillary. Nice meme. Well, you know, actually, American presidents have actually been pretty tall in recent years. Wages used to go up. Yes. Believe it or not, they did. Leaders. Napoleon wasn't, okay? Napoleon was a short king. He was the original short king. But this is the point of correlation does not equal causation, right? But there are causal links. There are demonstrably causal links. Stagnant wages are one, right? That's why in a big recession, people vote against the incumbent, because stagnant wages And that's why people vote against Obama. Because wages started to go up for a bit when we recovered from the recession, or it looked like they were going up because people were getting their jobs back. So wages were going from zero back to what they were. And then people realized, hey, wages aren't increasing from what they were 10 years ago. At that point, they were like, okay, we need new leadership. So when everyone's losing their jobs and 30 million people are unemployed, if we're at 30% unemployment, like, there is absolutely no empirical, there are no empirical indicators to suggest that an incumbent has any chance of winning the White House, of winning re-election under those circumstances. That's not to say it can't happen. I'm saying if it does happen, it's a historical anomaly. And it's a demonstrator of new forms of evidence, which are possible, but you can't make predictions based on evidence that you don't know exists, right? Please, I really hate I hate this phase. This phase is really stupid. This phase is really, really, really stupid. It's poorly designed. It's extremely inconsistently designed. That you can actually literally do that. You can be jumping at the very top of that, very top of those puddles, and it just doesn't do anything. And there's only one. No voter does that calculus. Maybe on unemployment. No voter does that calculus, but mass unemployment affects everyone. It affects everyone. And if 30% of the country is unemployed, that's 30% of the country that's 30% of the country whose income has gone down by at least 25%. At least 25%. They do that calculus. If I was making minimum wage, which was already a poverty wage, and barely managing to feed my family, and now my unemployment checks, which the government is doing their best to withhold from me, cover 40 to 50 to 75 to 0% of my previous wages, that's a calculus I'm doing. Yes, the people who kept their jobs, their voting patterns may not change. Most of them won't, right? Most voters vote in self-interest, obviously. Not saying they shouldn't. But 30% of the country, you know what? I'm not getting paid enough. I'm voting Democrat next time. But we're not talking about your Republican friends. We're talking about swing voters. Elections are decided based on 15% of swing voters. That's what it is. 10 to 15% of swing voters come out and they vote for a specific person over another. So when 30% of the electorate, let's say 70% of whom are swing voters, I'm not voting for Obama again or whatever. Yeah. Like, your Republican friends are going to vote Republican, right? Thank you. Like, it takes a very small number of people to influence an election. We saw it in 2000 and we saw it in 2016. Al Gore lost because of 200 people in Florida. Hillary Clinton lost, Al Gore lost because of 200 people in Florida and a corrupt Republican favoring justice system, which caused Al Gore to win the election but also lose the election. And Hillary Clinton lost because of 30,000 people spread across 3 states. For reference, that is 30,000 people. What is that? That's 0.2% of the workforce, right? 150 million, so 1.5 million. by another 100, which is 0.01. It's 0.02% of the workforce. I should be using my... 0.02% of the workforce. And maybe 30% of those workers are not counted in the labor force. They're not counted in the labor force, but their employment status and their income level does influence their vote, even if you're not in the labor force. So yeah, it takes a very, 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 very small number of swing voters to influence an entire election. So when 30% of the workforce is out of work, that's a lot of people. It takes it takes a tiny number of those people to change their voting behavior. Very, 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 very tiny. You've met your match, Koopa. So other evidence for Biden being favored? Are you asking or are you suggesting something? Okay. Trump is a historically unpopular president who hit the peak of his popularity in the 2016 election. I would argue that Trump has lost way more support than he will ever be able to gain because of how historically unpopular he is. Biden at least has the ability to convince people to vote for him to some extent, which is something you cannot really say to the same extent for Trump. I think that was always going to be getting... The more Trump is in charge, the less popular he gets. He can only win by preventing other people from voting, which is why Biden is a terrible choice in a vacuum, is that he makes it very easy to discourage people from voting. But in the same vein, he's a very difficult... Trump is an even more difficult person to vote for, right? It's basically a race to the bottom. That's what it is. That's what Biden versus Trump is. It's a race to the bottom for who can get less support. It's really sad, but it's just the reality of what we've turned our political system into. I hate you. I hate this game. Has popularity been going down with each new president, though? No. George Bush was... I think George Bush was even more unpopular than Trump at his lowest. But, he was more... He had a lower... I think he had a lower low than Trump, but Trump, on average, has been the least popular president. I don't think Trump has ever been over 50% in national averages, which every other president has been at some point. Bush had it right after 9/11, and he had it right at the start of the war in Iraq. That's part of why Trump... Part of him wants to start a war. The problem is that his base doesn't want him to. But there's a massive... and most would argue that it's a causal link. There's a massive correlation between the start of a war and the popularity of a president. 2 out of 2 shoes at one point. Yes. That was a nice meme. That was one of the coolest. That was probably like... That was the one unironically cool thing that Bush did, was dodge that shoe. Alright, now what are we doing? We're getting Yoshi, and we're finishing the... Oh my god. She's at the wall. I already got this. I'm dumb. Listen, I will still say that George Bush was the worst from an outcome and total harm perspective. Maybe that changes after COVID, but in terms of malicious harm, George Bush was the worst president of the modern era. He ran an economy into the ground and started a war that killed that with a body count into the millions. That is an unforgivably bad presidency. Like, his was a genuinely evil administration. And I will never, ever, ever, ever accept the rehabilitation of George Bush's image. The decider. I'm the decider. One of the great qualities of a leader, one of the qualities of a great leader, is the ability to think like your enemies. And yesterday, Colin Powell told me that my mind was full of Shiites, and the people laughed like they were confident in their leader. I do remember. I remember everything. All right. I have extra time, so I'm just gonna finish mushroom. Probably. It's only gonna take another 15 minutes or so. Yep, that's the one. That families are just good branding. I think, America has, to a much smaller extent, thankfully, English, the same problem that India does, which is we need heroes, right? Like, we don't want effective politicians. We don't just want effective politicians. We want them to be like we're like craving politicians to be like our parents as well. It's really, really, like, it's really sad that we can't just say, you know what, you're here to do a job, we're hiring you. I think that's why Trump caught on so well, right? That, like, political dynasty works out because Americans want to form like a parasocial attachment to their political leaders, right? It's the Twitch effect. Politicians are basically Twitch streamers before they were cool. Because politicians are, for someone you don't know, a politician is extremely, like, causally linked to your welfare. So it is natural to form like an unhealthy attachment. It's a natural reaction to form a pretty unhealthy attachment to them, right? What am I doing? I've got all of these, and now we're going to the patch. Trump OnlyFans. He'd do it if he had to. I mean, that's the problem in India, and that's why fascists are in power in India right now. Is that the Congress Party is completely feckless because they never got over their political dynasty. They had about 3 generations of pretty effective leaders, and yes, Indira Gandhi was an authoritarian and a horrible person, but she was a very effective leader, which is part of why she refused to give up power, because she felt like power was best off in her hands. So she refused to acknowledge the legitimacy of elections. Which, by the way, is not an appropriate analogy for Evo Morales, because Evo Morales expanded his power in Bolivia. I'm not sure if you're aware of the what was literally a coup in Bolivia. But Evo Morales expanded his power specifically to protect it from fascists, right? Which is very different. You know, we can have arguments over whether it was justified or not. But Indira Gandhi specifically just expanded her power because she wanted power. Now, she may have thought her reasons were good, but ultimately, and this is the problem with Indian political dynastyism in general, is that the Gandhis spent their entire political tenure, so to speak, believing that they would always be the power brokers. Deep into Bolivian political history? True. I mean, I'm not either. I was pretty agnostic on, like, what happened, and then I found out that the OAS was found to be politically motivated, and I was like, wow, so it actually was a coup. Interesting. Alright. What am I doing now? I need those two, and I think those are my last licky boom booms. Oh, wait, no, they're not. The last one. Wait, no, there's two more. Where do heck? Oh, it's in the moat. So there's one in the moat. And then there's one down here. There's one old guy in a chair trying really hard not to watch someone pee. Oh my god. That's too real. Here she's all filled up. Okay. Oh my god. So yeah, listen, like, if I have to bet on it, I'm going to bet for Joe Biden. I think he has a really good chance of winning, and I think that is a very good thing. I think that other politicians would have been better. I think that I think that Democrats have gotten really bad at leveraging the things that historically work against Republicans. And that's part of why I thought Bernie was a better choice than Biden to run against Trump. But also, I have a lot of motivated reasoning. Nobody thinks Joe's the best choice. A lot of people think Joe's the best choice. That's why they voted for him. That's the sheer reality of it. And I still do think that if not for COVID-19, like in a world before coronavirus, aside from Bernie, I thought Joe Biden was the best choice. Because you needed somebody with that populist appeal. Joe Biden's a fake populist, but he has the appeal in a way that no other establishment Democrat did. Uh-oh. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. He's basically like Trump, right? He's a fake populist. He doesn't stand for working class ideals. At least not in any significant way. But he comes off like that. And that helps him politically. Obviously it does, right? I thought I got this guy. Please tell me it didn't reset. I don't think it resets, right? It doesn't reset. This is the guy I always forget that I didn't get. It's fine. Alright. Did I get this? Well, he has the massive advantage of being the only person who vocally hates politics, who also has... Who, Biden? Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about Biden, and that's why the Tara Reid allegations are so damaging for him. Is that Biden's entire pitch, like the Tara Reid allegations, like if it weren't for COVID-19, like I'm pretty sure, like I think because of the allegations, his campaign would be very, very, very unlikely to succeed. Okay. I'm just gonna try and make it through. Oh, Trump? Yeah, that's very relatable. He substitutes a hatred for politicians. He uses that to project a sense that he's not corrupt, right? He's like, I can't be corrupt because I hate politicians. Dang it. So I can one-shot this star. It's gonna be tough. I have to... Yeah, there it is. I got really far from my first attempt. I've never made it that far in my first attempt. But Biden also has a bit of that image, right? He's a career politician, but he doesn't present like one. And that's really beneficial to him. Come on. I have to go. Damn it. Yeah, Biden has, throughout his life, which is why, you know, people like me liked him until we found out everything about his voting record. As vice president, he was pretty popular because he was goofy, he gaffed a lot, but he had no legislative agenda that we knew of. Of course, he, behind the scenes, was tanking, you know, really important things like, and I think one of his biggest legislative, like, I hesitate to call it scandal because he paid no political price for it, but so dumb. Dumb, out of touch grandpa. Now that was endearing. That was endearing. And when it came time to campaign, he projected confidence, right? His pitch is the dumb out of... No, I'm so dumb. The dumb out of touchiness is... Fudge. That's what his pitch is. It's just an impression. I'm a guy who knows how to get things done. And he has a record that shows that he gets things done. It's just the things that he gets done are not very good for the country, in my opinion. But more importantly than well, as importantly as that, he hits Trump on the one thing that won him the election, right? He hits Trump on decency. Finally. Touchiness. That's that was an unintentional joke there. But it's very much in touch, if you know what I mean. But he projects that decency, right? That most Democratic politicians don't have in their image. And that's why, like, you don't see the Republicans going after his record. They will later on, but the thing that they're trying to make stick, that they were trying to make stick, were Burisma and Tara Reid, because they want to ruin the notion that Biden is decent. That's the first thing they want to do. Nice. Do you think Biden will embarrass himself? I feel like that would hurt the value of decency in this election. Debates don't affect anything. I mean, they can, but this is not. This is taking me way too long. I'm actually like not happy with how long this is taking me. Yeah, I think all of those things. I think campaigning can make a difference in an election, but at the end of the day, like campaigning only makes a difference if there's a difference to be made. Campaigning makes a difference in close elections, right? I think that with the right campaign, Bernie could have snowballed. But there were definitely mistakes made in Bernie's campaign. Could he have won the nomination with those better effective campaigning tactics? Maybe, maybe not. There's a huge number of factors, right? Because the idea would be that a better campaign from Bernie would have given Democrats less of a reason to interfere. It would have made them look worse for organizing in the ways that they did, right? There were clear mistakes that Bernie made that were, kind of political character flaws he has. Not schmoozing a little bit with James Clyburn, because he doesn't have that in his repertoire. He doesn't schmooze. What? That was complete and utter garbage. My audio reset. Also, let me know when the in-game audio cuts out, because I have no way of knowing, but it does, and I have to reset the HDMI signal every time it happens. It's really annoying. So if you happen to hear it and you want to let me know, that helps me a lot. I mean, you're not obligated to, if you don't mind it. But if the audio ever cuts out and you let me know, I'll fix it. Yeah, which that's part of his appeal, right? Is he has a similar appeal to Trump, is that he's not a politics as usual guy. God dang it. I'm not going to tell you it's a prank. I mean, right now you're my primary constituency, right? So. The real meme is if you're talking politics as a prank and you're like, psych, I hate politics, and because you've been talking politics, I'm never coming back. Nice meme, dude. You currently have Destiny to thank for 100% of your views? Right now, yes. And one ballsy ask for a shout out. No, he always lets you shout out your stuff. I like to ask, right? Just a politeness thing, right? Why? Where did that other health go? I don't remember losing that health. I'm getting really annoyed with this stage. I'm gonna start tilt shoving my way through this stage. I need to go. I was supposed to end stream like 10 minutes ago. But I want to finish Mushroom Kingdom. I have work to do. I have like way too much work to do. And overstreaming is one of the worst things you can do as a content producer. There's so much. You have to like work on YouTube. And like the truth is like I don't want to over prioritize Twitch or gaming. I haven't worked on my musical for a few days. So I have to like get back on music. Focus up. We can do politics another time. I mean, like, I'm here. I'll focus on this particular 8-bit thing. Also, I think it's good content. It's kind of on brand, right? Like, because I can brand this and it can be like kind of a tri-hexy sort of, or even like, yeah, basically I'm playing a video game while talking politics. I think that's pretty cool. So thank you. You've, oh my God, that was so close. Oh, Jesus. All right. I have 2 health. Please don't lose it. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I was just complaining. Like, a stream going long because the content's actually good today is not a it's not a thing that I'm gonna be complaining about. All right, so let's finish up this little segment. Wait, where's my star patch? Well, while I'm here, I'll just finish this. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting election, either way, no matter how the cards fall. Terrifying, but interesting. Is there a taxi in this kingdom? Looks like no. Or anything flying. Watch out in those woods, it's very dangerous. Hey, thanks, buddy. You pooping pooper. Please don't die on Goombas. That's all I want for Christmas, is to not die on Goombas. Alright. So I have 3 sheep that I want. Wait, I need more Goombas. I mean, I'm already here. I'll just go back around. And I have to get that, all scaredy around Goombas? Well, should have thought of that before. Sure to go up. Oh my god. Well, yeah, I mean, they always do, right? In any joblessness streak. Because, like, there's a decent portion, especially of, like, middle-aged men who are not going to get any jobs back. They're not going to find work ever again. Anytime you have a spike in unemployment, there's a percentage of those people who are just not going to get jobs ever. And the government keeps saying, like, retrain, retrain, retrain. And Democrats are doing it right now. And it's shameful. A lot of those people are not going to get their jobs back. They need to be provided for. Retrain to play Fortnite? Why? Oh, yeah. I mean, I can. If I practice Fortnite for like 3 hours a day for 2 months, my cousin's gotten pretty good at Fortnite. And all he does is he plays Fortnite for like an hour a day. Don't do that to yourself. I'm not saying I will, but it is completely within the realm of possibility because I'm young enough to be able to retrain. I can adapt my content to whatever it needs to be. And I was talking about that with my friend, that the chances that I'm going to be a successful streamer are astronomically low. But if I do develop a viewer base, if I do develop a viewer base, I feel like that will be the stickiness of my success is going to be much higher than your average like League of Legends person, because I'm not tethered to a game, right? You're not watching me because of Odyssey, right? You're watching me because I was on Destiny's stream. And even my Mario 64 viewers, they will tune in and they will come hang out. They will come watch, right? They are Mario 64 viewers, but ultimately the appeal of my stream is personality. Exactly, right? Like, I can take the credit for what level of success I have on Twitch, minimal though it is, right? I am in the not all that small, but still fairly small percentage of people who have made money streaming to Twitch, right? Very tiny amount of money, but I've made money. And the reason I've made money is largely because of my personality. So if I find success on Twitch, it's not going to be because I'm the best Odyssey player in the world, or the best Fortnite player in the world, or the best PUBG, or the best Mario 64. If I'm successful on Twitch, that's not going to be tethered to any game. And I have the ability to get decent at any game because I'm young, right? So I'm like in a place of sticking to a schedule. Yeah, I stream weekdays 1 to 3 p.m. 1 to 3 p.m. every weekday. You're going to see me playing Odyssey. I'm playing Odyssey because it's the only like really good streaming game that I'm able to stream right now because I'm streaming on a MacBook. But, you know, I will... What am I doing? I'm willing to play other games. 1 to 3 is tough. I'll link you in my... I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I get that. It's mostly like I stream on the schedule that works, and 1 to 3 is actually the there's a peak time, which is I think 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time, and that's the best time to stream for viewership, which isn't the primary calculation, but that's the time that works best for me. I might try to, like, as a discipline, start streaming earlier in the day. But the only thing is I have to stream either before noon or after 1. Yeah, no, and I appreciate you tuning in. I most certainly appreciate you tuning in. I've just designated a time for me to... I think that consistency is just a very good trait for a streamer. And I like to be streaming at the same hours because I want people to know where they can find me live, where they can have chat interactions with me, and I think that's a great trait that I never had when I was streaming from Belgium, because I had free time all the time. Now I'm like filling up my schedule with other stuff. I'm writing music, I'm working on my musical, and I'm working on YouTube, right? In fact, I wish I had more time to work on YouTube. I really like working on YouTube, but I got all sorts of stuff to do. Oh, I feel bad. I never saw the kid from the follow from Ugly Kid. Well, thank you for the follow, Ugly Kid, if you happen to watch the VOD. If I see you tomorrow, I will thank you in person. There wasn't an alert? That's annoying. There should be an alert. I need to get better at this fight. Yeah, that can happen sometimes. There will be like times that they're really off. Like, it's usually something wrong with the Streamlabs servers. That was too close. All right. Okay, I'm okay here. All right, that was really close. Okay, so I need luncheon before I go to moon, and then moon before I come back to mushroom, and then I need mushroom before sand. Trying to think of how I do this. I might as well just finish mushroom right now. Stop. My cousin's running around outside. I'll have to come back here to do 64-bit Mario, so I think I'm okay. I'll do this now since I'm here. It's going to be a pretty long stream, but it's an eventful stream, so. Please, thank you. I didn't take enough time to actually memorize the photo. For the first one, it should be fine. Okay. Nose goes over the mustache. Passively erase this mustache. Alright, this should be fine. Alright. 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 A little bit higher than middle on the eyes. A little bit higher than middle on the eyes. And it should be okay. This one's a lot harder though. Yeah, okay. That should be fine. That was a little too high, but it shouldn't be a problem. The mouth is what always gets me. Felt dubious. I think it's okay. Okay. Nice. That was bad, but I'll take it. Is there... purple coins? I'm wasting time. Alright. I got Goombat. It's time to go. Time to go. Time to herd some sheeps. Time for some shep herding. Can these guys stop? Alright, that's fine. I will end your lives. Killing Goombas is my speciality. Stop. There we go. You absolute useless piece of garbage. There we go. Just get... Okay, you know what? This kid's playing Roblox. Well, in the end, my friend, we will all be together again. Clutching onto my hand. In a valley we'll stand, just living again. In a while we'll smile. March on another mile. On hallowed hills. Attached to the land we'll be still. No one's ever gonna say a thing. And we'll be together, together again. Taking y'all to my city on down. Be-doot, be-doot, be-meow. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Nope. Alright, I was gonna bop you, but got him. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Alright. So there's Hint Art, there's Peach, there's the taxi cab. Lurking a bit. That's fine. I'm probably gonna be logging off soon. I just wanna see what Jammin'. And then Corgi. I'm just about done. And Flat and Blocky Classic. Nice. One of these mouth breathers lost in order. I love the term mouth breather. It's so rude. It is a little bit ableist against people who have sinus issues. As someone who has sinus issues, I'm not a huge... I'm a little insulted by it. But I can swallow that. Okay, I need the flowers, and I need the good dog. I need Wowie. Wowie Williams. No, I need to go over here. But I've already butchered. Dang it. I need to go there, I believe. Thank you. here, buddy. Okay, I've got all the purple coins. I need to find the flowers. I forgot where the flowers are. I always forget what the flowers are. I can pick up the remainder of the... I can pick up remainder plant. Okay. Have a happy lurk. There it is. My secret flower field. Alright. So, Mario 64 throwback. Wait, hold on. Power Moon list. So, Peach Hint Art. Peach Hint Art Taxi 64. Peach Hint Art Taxi 64. Peach Hint Art Taxi 64 Hat and Seek. That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there's one more, maybe? Or maybe there's just one more that I can't get yet. We're about to find out. Oh, please don't. Please do not give me. I mean, I'll it's fine. I'll get it on the I'll get it on Mushroom too, if anything. But oh, shopping, right? Doi, moron. I already got Toad. I'll just use this to load up on costumes. Nope. I also know what to change into. Ooh, I should have bought the moon outfit while I was on Moon Kingdom. But I didn't get any coins. Okay, that's something to consider for my next next playthrough. That you want to get the astronaut outfit so you can finish Lake Kingdom in one go. So on sand, you want to get sand before your second lake because you want to finish lake. Oh, but you have to go back anyway for yeah, no, I'll get it. Actually, yeah. I'm gonna write this down because, like, I actually enjoy routing. I really enjoy routing. Alright. Oh, that costs 1,000. I should have bought this first. Okay, well, I mean, I have to go back anyway, so I'll just do it on the third run through. that case, I'm gonna... I need to get out of this chair. I'll just finish this while I'm here. Oh, and there's 2 stars on the Mario. That's why. I was only counting the one on the Mario 64 thingamajig. Oh. Okay. I don't know why I'm not just re-entering, but I felt like doing this. Oh my god. I have no sense of direction. Case in point. I thought that was the right side. As in, like, I thought that was the diagonal. I have no sense of direction, dude. Oh my god. Alright. That is not the order that I remember, I swear. Like, that is not the order I remember. I could have sworn that it was shaped like a star. That there were no adjacent boxes. Wait, what? It's impossible for me to get this one wrong. That took me way too long. I got that first try in the last run through. Okay. Cool. So what should happen is I'm going to go back to Takatu, and he's going to have hint art for me and only hint art, because everything else is ungettable. At the current moment. Cool. Yeah, I am going to teleport. Alright. Listen, thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you, everyone. It has been a pleasure for me. Pardon the screaming in the background. I stream every day, 1 to 3 p.m. And, yeah, so I stream every weekday, 1 to 3 p.m. Sorry, correction, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Sometimes I'll have a bonus stream on weekends, and, yeah, sometimes I'll have a bonus stream on weekends, but otherwise weekdays 1 to 3 p.m. Check out my YouTube, youtube.com/ShanKendallRin, or just go down into the Twitch description for the link, or if you're watching on YouTube, you're already there. And if you're watching the YouTube VOD version of this, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Yep, and not just for my own benefit, but if you're watching if you're watching at the end of a really long YouTube clip, it's actually really good information for me that you're watching this far and that this is actually something I should continue to publish. So if you watch for long-form content, please be sure to leave a like so that I know that this is the kind of content you like. Otherwise, subscribe for other forms of content like highlights and bits and bites and throwbacks every Tuesday and Thursday. I do bits, bites, and throwbacks. And so I'll be publishing those for at least for the time being until I run out of throwbacks. And yeah, so cool. And leave a comment if there's anything that you like or don't like. If you have any feedback, let me know. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful night. I will see everyone tomorrow.